Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inside the Word podcast. My name is Sandra. If you're looking for a word that encourages, inspires, uplifts, and propels you forward, you've come to the right place. Thank you so much for stopping by. Proverbs 15:23 says, "A word spoken in due season, how good it is." I pray that each time you listen to this podcast, you will hear a due season word. Be encouraged, be blessed, and be inspired in the name of the Lord Jesus. Today's message is titled, Even Now. You could say it's a follow-up message to Lessons from Mary and Martha. Let's begin. When we use the expression, even now, especially in circumstances that seem hopeless or dire, we are, in essence, declaring that despite the circumstances, we still believe there is hope. For example, we might say that even now, a miracle is still possible. Even now, God is still able. This even now declaration is what I call even now faith. Even now, faith is the kind of faith that remains intact or steadfast regardless of the circumstances and the outcomes. People with even now faith realize that they have done all they can or could have done, and there is nothing else they can do or could have possibly done to change their circumstances. Nevertheless, despite their realization, they still have faith to believe that even now, though their circumstances are hopeless, God can change the outcome. Martha, Lazarus' sister, had this kind of faith. By the time Jesus visited Mary and Martha after hearing that their brother Lazarus was sick, Lazarus had already been dead for 4 days. Jesus therefore missed the opportunity to heal Lazarus, or so it seemed. No wonder that when Martha met Jesus, she said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." Martha believed that Jesus could have healed Lazarus and prevented his death. This belief testifies to her faith in Jesus' healing powers. However, what Martha said next is even more profound and remarkable. She said, "But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask." Martha had accepted that her brother was dead. That was her immediate reality. She also had no doubt that Jesus could have prevented her brother's death, but he did not. Was she disappointed? Probably. But above all, her faith in Jesus remained intact. Why? Martha knew whom she was speaking to. She knew she was talking to someone with deep connections to God, someone who had the power to change her circumstances, no matter how hopeless they seemed. And tell me, how much more hopeless can a situation get than death? But you see, Martha knew she wasn't just speaking to anyone. No, she knew she was talking to the God of the universe. For she said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." When people in the New Testament called Jesus Lord, it signified that they knew Jesus' true identity. They knew that Jesus is God. Thomas is a perfect example. For when Jesus said to him, "Reach your finger here and look at my hands, and reach your hand here and put it into my side, do not be unbelieving, but believing." Thomas exclaimed, "My Lord and my God." Talk about a revelation. Martha also had the revelation of who Jesus is. For, in response to Jesus' question about whether she believed he is the resurrection and the life, Martha said, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God who is to come into the world. No wonder Martha had even now faith. She was thoroughly convinced and grounded in her belief in who Jesus is. Even now, faith is not faith that we must work to achieve or even pray for. It is faith that is born from being fully convinced or grounded in our belief that Jesus is God. And because we know with complete assurance that Jesus is God, we know that nothing is too hard for him. Now, here is one of God's many proofs that nothing is too hard for him. Abraham had been sitting at the door of his tent, enjoying the warmth of the day. It may have been summer, who knows? When he looked up, he saw 3 men. Abraham then hastened to attend to the men. He gave them water to wash their feet, as well as cakes, meat, milk, and butter to eat. The men then said to Abraham, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" "She's inside the tent," Abraham replied. Then one of them said, "I will return to you about this time next year, and your wife Sarah will have a son." Abraham and Sarah were both very old by this time, and Sarah had long since passed the age of childbearing. So when she heard that she would have a child, she laughed within herself and said, "How could a worn out woman like me enjoy such pleasure, especially when my master, my husband, is also so old?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, 'Can an old woman like me have a baby?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return about this time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Now, let's talk about what happened. The Lord kept his word and did for Sarah exactly what he had promised. She became pregnant and she gave birth to a son for Abraham in his old age. This happened at just the time God had said it would. And Sarah declared, "God has brought me laughter. All who hear about this will laugh with me." Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse a baby? Yet I have given Abraham a son in his old age. The proof that nothing is too hard for God is that Sarah gave birth to a child in her old age. This is reproductively impossible. Sarah was 90 years old, but God proved with Isaac's birth that nothing is too hard for the Lord. Therefore, even though we may be facing impossible circumstances, let us declare that even now there is nothing too hard for the Lord. Even now, the Lord can turn my mourning into dancing. Even now, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Even now, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Even now, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Even now, all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. Even now, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Even now, God is able to keep me from falling and to present me faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. Even now, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Even now, God is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Even now, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. Regardless of the circumstances we are in right now, we must firmly believe that God is who He says He is. For if we believe that God is who He says He is, then our even now faith will break forth, and with great conviction, we will be able to give a resounding no to the question, is anything too hard for the Lord? That's it, Word Insiders. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope this message was a blessing to you. I look forward to our meeting in another episode. Until then, stay safe and let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, follow, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, may God be with you. Bye.